Okay, so the way that the more consistent strategy works, it's still not 100% consistent, and you have to like kind of get used to it. So, using like the practice SWF to like just go straight to level 27 and practice it is probably the best way to do it because it takes way too long to do it otherwise. Uh, so basically, you start your cursor lined up with the bottom of the pipe right here. You can also see my cursor from the video in there. Not this part, but this part. You line it up right on the edge. And then you want to start moving the cursor. You want to try to start moving it literally right when the level starts. So you can see like on the frame before, or a couple frames before the level's about to start, I start moving the cursor to the right and slightly downwards. Um, and also this strat only works in full screen because if you weren't in full screen, your cursor would technically be out of the window right now, and you wouldn't like be like the game wouldn't register your cursor being there. So it only works when you do it in full screen. And so you're just dragging the cursor down and to the right, and you can see that your goal is to go right underneath this right here. Um, then you want to also manage to not you want to not touch it, and you even though it looks like you're going through it, you're not actually touching this piece in the middle, because you just teleport straight to where your cursor is. Same thing with this piece right there. You're not actually touching it because you're just teleporting straight through it with your cursor. And then most of where the quote unquote RNG of this part is actually the video didn't capture the frame, but basically on the next frame I teleported to into the pipe, and your cursor has to be on the pipe. If your cursor is too far to the right, you if your cursor is really far to the right, you'll just straight up die. If it's a little bit past the pipe, you'll go up and you'll hit the spikes that are being covered right now. And then if you're too far to the left, basically you'll hit it on that frame, and then the next frame you'll skip over it. So you'll be a frame slower, and you'll also die at the end. So most of it is just getting the lineup right. You want to start there, and you want to drag it over first and then down. You kind of want to do this kind of motion, and it's pretty consistent once you get used to it. You can get the motion down fairly consistently, and it's a frame faster than what was done in Lucky Hamburger's run, because you are using your cursor off to the right of the screen where it would normally be if you weren't full screen, which means that you move farther with each frame, because on each frame you get teleported to your cursor. So your cursor is farther enough to the right where it takes one less frame to actually traverse the entire screen, which is why this saves a frame. And that is how you do that frame perfectly. And then I guess the beginning is just pretty self-explanatory how to do it frame perfectly. The hardest part is just on stage 4, clicking on the first frame. And you can kind of see, like, at the beginning of each level, how the timer kind of freezes. So the way that I know if I got frame 4 perfectly is I look for where the timer pauses on level 5, and it pauses on 625, which is frame perfect. If you're on 6.5, you're one frame behind. So I usually just like to reset right there. So that's how you would know if you did the first couple levels frame perfectly.